Hi everyone, welcome to Ageless Vibrancy, where we explore tips and science-backed strategies for a healthier, longer life. Okay, so we know sugar's bad for us, we know processed foods are bad for us, and maybe you've tried cutting out those foods many times in the past, but here you are still eating all these foods despite all we know. How would you like to cut those bad foods out and end up with a fantastically healthy diet and love everything that you eat? Not only that, how would you like to do it in a way that feels effortless so that you are driven to eat the good food and you're not having to constantly resist temptation? Well, listen up. It's all about your gut. You may have heard that the gut is called our second brain, and one of the reasons for that is that it dictates a lot of our eating habits, far more so than you may realize. Now hear me out, because I'm going to explain the mechanism first, and then we'll look at how you can utilize that mechanism to work for you rather than you having to battle against it. Have you heard of the gut-brain axis? The gut-brain axis is a bi-directional communication network that links our gut with the central nervous system, including our brain. And it's bi-directional, meaning that messages are sent both ways, from our brain to our gut, but also from our gut to our brain. Now you probably already know how messages can go from your brain to your gut. If you hear some bad news or have a really bad thought, you can instantly feel sick in your stomach. But you may also be aware to some degree how messages can go from your gut to your brain. When you're completely full after a huge meal and someone puts a delicious looking cake in front of you, it doesn't feel nearly as attractive as when you have an empty stomach. That's a very simplified example, and it's much more nuanced than that, but it illustrates that your gut can influence your taste for things. Now here's what's really interesting. It's not just a nerve directly connected to our gut, from our gut to our brain. The bacteria that live inside our intestines actually send messages to our brain. So even though the bacteria isn't us, they don't have our DNA, they still influence our decisions. And here's how it works. Gut bacteria produce things called metabolites, such as short-chain fatty acids, serotonin and dopamine. In fact, did you know that 90% of our serotonin is produced in the gut? So our mental health and mood is affected by the state of our gut. And not just a slight difference, 90% of serotonin, which is the feel-good neurotransmitter, comes from our gut. So that's an enormous influence. And studies have shown that the microbiome in our gut affects depression, anxiety, appetite, and even cravings for certain foods. Okay, so that's all very interesting, but how do we use this to our advantage? Well, the bacteria in our gut is not the same for everyone. It varies from person to person, and it changes depending on what we eat. And there's good bacteria that's vital for us to get the nutrients we need from our food, and there's bad bacteria as well. But the bacteria will only survive if we feed them the particular food that they thrive on. And to achieve that, they condition you to crave a particular food that will support their growth. For example, bacteria that thrive on sugar will try and enhance cravings for sugary foods. So you may think that you're born with a sweet tooth and that there's nothing you can do about it. But it may not be in your genetics, it may just be because the particular bacteria in your gut that has been nurtured your whole life continues to give you the sugar cravings for its own survival. So how can we break the cycle? Well, we need to find a way to swap out our bacteria, and you can actually do this. If you don't feed the bad bacteria, they will die out, and then if you provide food to the good bacteria, they will increase. Now, if you had incredible self-control, you could just stop eating all the bad food and immediately eat all the good food, and over time it would change. But that's a lot of hard work, and most of us aren't like that. And this video is about changing our diet so that it feels effortless, and that's not an effortless way. Now, the thing to note is that it takes up to 2 weeks to build up new beneficial bacteria. So the key to this is to make gradual, sustainable changes to your diet. Don't focus on trying to cut out the bad food. That's the hard way. Just add, say, a few more vegetables than what you're already eating. Eat more of them in a way that's as tasty as possible without worrying too much about whether the sauces or the extras that you're putting on are ideal. Don't worry about that. The main thing is to start increasing the amount of gut bacteria that feed on that good stuff. Then as you start eating more of this good food, there'll be less room for the bad. And those bad bacteria will gradually reduce, and you'll find that your cravings will lessen without you having to try hard to resist those foods. And over time, you'll change the content and quality of your microbiome in your gut. This new bacteria will be wanting to be fed by a good, healthy food, and you'll find you'll really look forward to this healthy food, and you simply won't have the desire for those bad foods that you used to crave. If you want to try and experiment for yourself, cabbage is a really good one to start with. It's such a healthy, cheap food, and has tons of fiber, polyphenols, and other great nutrients. But people hesitate to eat it because they complain that cabbage gives them gas or makes them bloated. But that happens if you don't have the right bacteria in your gut to digest it. So instead, try this. Just start taking a little bit of each day, gradually increasing it over a couple of weeks. Make it as tasty as possible. You can make a really nice coleslaw, or there's a really simple Irish recipe called cold cannon where you cook it with mashed potatoes and onion. Do whatever it takes to make it enjoyable to eat. In a short time, you'll be able to see the difference. If you've had digestive issues with it in the past, then after a couple of weeks, you can have plenty of cabbage without any problems. And you'll start to see for yourself that your gut has actually changed. You'll also find that you'll look forward to eating more of it. And because you're eating it more, you'll have less appetite for the other things. And that will cause the bad bacteria to dwindle, and it won't be able to make you crave the unhealthy foods as much. So you don't have to torture yourself in resisting cravings and failing and giving in. You can effortlessly direct what cravings you're going to have by letting your gut drive your taste buds and appetite. It will take far less effort to eat the right food, and you'll find you really enjoy eating good, healthy food. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more tips on living a vibrant and healthy life. See you next time.